Hey guys, welcome to week 3. It is Monday, and today I got a question through YouTube again, this time asking me about our thermoplastic lorry. Now, let me be the first to say, my little French mistress here, she ain't no beauty queen, but I don't know, there's something I still love about it. Now, we don't get out an awful lot in this thing, I gotta be honest, but I'm gonna give you a little tour around, and then we're actually gonna take it to site. I'm gonna show you it in action. I'll give you a quick walk around the outside as well. Let's have a start her up, make sure she goes okay. Whew, somebody has had the blowers on high. Damn. Yep, and the radio. I'm as much in shock as you are, and when you see the outside, you'll see why. Before we do, this is the cab, so very basic, as you can imagine. There is a cruise control. So this is what we have on the little dash area. It's a Euro 5, not a Euro 6, which means every day I go into London with it, it's a £100 charge. It's got this little cruise control up here, and then we can set the speed as we're driving to set the sort of high and low on the cruise control. Radio is super basic. I don't think she's got aircon. I think it's just fans, actually. It's not even air conditioned. But we do have some ginormous windows. So really, if you need air conditioning, I mean, you know, you can't beat a window the size of, well, let's face it, a normal freaking windscreen the size of this thing. It is huge. But you get trucker's arm when you're driving, because obviously you have to drive and you have your arm out the window like this. You get trucker's arm, which means half of it's tanned, half of it's not. Kind of look a bit of a wally. Anyway, apart from that, on the inside, a little bit of storage space, nothing major. Got a little bump cap. Now, I actually bought myself a trucker cap. I don't suit hats at all, but I bought this like Bubba Gump shrimp, proper trucker's hat, but I ended up not wearing it because I look like a bit of a tit. Anywho, enough of that one. Let me show you the outside of the truck. This is all we get on the inside. Oh, we have got a nice little camera that shows us the rear of the unit, and oh, a little GPS at the top here with the camera. We have a tacho thing at the top here. Now, we actually don't run using a tacho because we're exempt. In the same way, we're exempt from having an operator's license. We're also exempt from having to do MOTs. We are also exempt from doing the CPC. And in fact, I don't even have an HGV license. I only have a car license. And this thing weighs 14 tons, which is crazy because I'm normally limited to 3.5, but because this is a special purpose-built vehicle purely for road repairs and maintenance, you don't need a license, you don't need a CPC, you don't need to run a tacho, you don't need an operator's license, you don't need to do the MOTs for it, you just need to insure it. And I do have to pay road tax, which is like 200 quid a year, but that's it. One of the added benefits of this thing, as well as having cruise control, which huge benefit, look at that. We don't get aircon, but we do get heated wing mirrors. Honestly, it's not that big of a benefit, but let me give you a quick tour around. We'll take it to site and then I'll show you how we actually use this. Let me roll this back up. Like I said, my little French mistress here, she ain't so pretty, but I still have a little special place for it. Now, I got this from my friend Richard at East Anglian Road Markings. He gave me this around, I don't know, 18 months ago, and I've done 4 jobs so far. Now, I haven't used it simply because I spend a lot more time using spray equipment, simply because 1, it's super easy to use, and 2, it's easy, it's cheap. Let's be honest, like, this is more expensive to run, more expensive to drive, to operate, it's slower. The spray equipment is just so much cheaper and easier for everyone involved. Let me give you a quick tour though. So around the outside, this did originally have Richard's company on the side, so you can just make out East Anglian Road Markings on the side. The bodywork definitely needs a respray. So all of this, it's just surface rust, but the paint itself is like chipped away. I mean, you can literally pull the paint away. And although Richard did help me out with it and gave me a good price, I'd say I've still spent £20,000 on this lorry because after the buying price, I then had to invest in buying prams for it. I then also had to spend nearly £6,000 just now. Although we don't require an MOT, I took it for one anyway, and I'm so glad I did, because we found tires on the inside that were bald. We had a collapsed wheel bearing on it. We had a problem with our AdBlue sensor. In fact, we had to have a whole new AdBlue pump. We also had an electrical discharge, which meant we constantly had to turn the machine off because it would drain the batteries, and I had to replace the batteries. In fact, they were 600 quid alone. And then on top of all of that, we had a service done and a few other little bits and pieces and repairs done as well. So it actually cost me 6 grand odd just to get it through that MOT. And although I'd used it for a couple of jobs beforehand, it had kind of paid for itself just about on the jobs that I'd done, but then I needed to redo it. So now it owes me another 6 grand, give or take. This is way, way too big for me because I'm never gonna carry enough material. I'm never gonna do enough, you know, because we don't do highways, we don't do roads. Everything we do is a car park, so we're not gonna need it. So anyway, let me give you a quick tour around. And then on the inside, we've got these like little, sorry, it's a little bit noisy, but you can essentially climb up. We've got 4 gas bottles connected up here, all in series, and we can isolate 2 and run 2 at a time. The other things we've got on here, we've got a couple of traffic cones, although we have got a little space at the back for those, as well as like the barriers here. So we've got 110 volt outlets at the side, which we've never used on it. To start it up, it's electric start. This really is designed to run an HCA lance, which you'd use for drying or you'd use for burning off. Now I'm not a fan of drying with an HCA or burning off because quite honestly, they scare me. They are big, noisy bits of equipment. And of course, having not come from a line marking background, I've come from an electrical background, I'm just not used to using that sort of equipment. And so for me, I look at it and think, why the hell would we use something that big and scary when there's other stuff like you could use a hammerjet, for example, is a turbine dry, still very noisy, but it just feels a lot safer than having an open flame system. Quite honestly, if I'm gonna take thermoplastic a bit more seriously, which I think I am actually, then we'll probably want to go for diesel boilers as opposed to gas, simply because the diesel's much easier to fit up. I think easier as well, because obviously getting the gas is a pain in the arse, especially if you're out and about and if you run out, you're running low. With diesel, we can just fill it up anywhere at the petrol station, nice and easy. So this is the big diesel engine we have then, I guess, for, move this out of the way, for the compressor itself. What we have is this little barbecue fire pit sort of style thing. What I've done is I fitted a steel plate underneath like this, because I was worried that the base of the lorry is actually wood. And so I thought, look, better off I fit a steel plate underneath. It's got a heat shield underneath that, steel plate on here, and then all the crap drops on. I mean, look at that, ugh. You can just scrape this off then and tidy up, except the thermo is pretty solid actually. So I guess we needed it a bit hotter than that. So jugs literally go on there. The hand molds, you can see this side over here, they will sit on and sort of lean at an angle. And we keep those hot obviously while we're doing it. I am really not a fan of any of this. And I think open flames is massively outdated and dangerous. But I've been assured by BTEC, this is the standard, this is how they're made, this is how everybody does it. For me, it's just not quite enough. I've actually gone back to the health and safety company we use and said, look, this is what they've told me. This is the specification, the paperwork, everything we've got for it. They've then given me some guidance on it and said, okay, what you really need to do is get it assessed by a third party. They will then provide you with the safety assessment and what could be improved, etc., etc., etc. Got an extra little burner in case we need to heat the hand molds from another one. So we've got another little hand mold burner thing here. And then the pram itself, that sits in this handy little space. Let me move the camera right here. So with this one, all we do, we can pull this out, and then our pram kind of just, oh, I've got it locked on. Well, there's a fair point. Okay, so imagine you're driving down the road and the thing comes out, the little clip. What we've actually got is this chain that's then onto the chassis. That stops our pram actually coming detached, if you like, from the lorry itself. Okay, so further around this side, this is where we've got the main paint store, if you like, on here. So these roller shutters run up. All we need to do, lift these, and as we push up, move some of the stuff out of the way, we've got our thermoplastic stored just in the side here. This is actually a wheelchair ramp that I got from the back of a van. Now, the reason I wanted this is because when I remove this compressor here, what I'm going to do is have the wheelchair ramp fitted here so that I can load equipment onto the back. So my plan is basically bin off the compressor, bin off the gas bottles, get this thing bolted onto the side, and then basically it'll lower down, and then I can use a spray machine, and I can get a couple of machines on the back here as well. So if I want to take a spray machine for, I don't know, let's say we want to put down a primer for thermoplastic if we're doing concrete, or maybe we're doing something else and we just want to carry a spray machine anyway, we could literally run it up to the ramp, lift it up, push it on, and then this thing would all tuck up inside. Done. That's the plan anyway. So in the back, we've then got the main controls for the thermoplastic system itself. Now, when we change to the diesel, one of the things I also want to get rid of is this donkey engine right here. These things are so incredibly noisy. They have a tiny little diesel tank on the back. And quite honestly, I just feel that because we leave the truck running as well, I'd be better off connecting up to the PTO. So if I use a PTO, which is just a power takeoff, normally you'll find a power takeoff on a tractor, that sort of thing, but actually you can use a PTO on a lorry as well. So my plan is to fit a PTO onto this, run that to my hydraulics, and just control it that way. That'll take out an awful lot of the noise. So inside here, this is our thermoplastic. So all we do is we load the material in. Now we don't put the bags in, we cut the bags, tip the material inside here. With it heated up to around 200 degrees, we've got little thermometer or thermostat things on the side there and there. Once it gets to about 200 degrees, we're good to start pouring it out. Same with the yellow, it's literally the same again, so nice and easy. Now we do have some control panels here. This is actually our little thermostat, like a Danfoss. This is what we use for our set points. So you can twist this on the top here and it'll higher and lower the set points that we're aiming for. What we want to hit is around 200 degrees, give or take. And then in the back here, all you've got is a little bit of space. You can store a couple of pallets of thermoplastic on here. Nice little working light at the top there. And that's it. I will see you guys tomorrow on Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning. It's incredibly hot. It's like 24 degrees out here and we're at the golf club. Let me show you what we're doing. So the guys are running a grinder over the surface just to take up any loose bits that are on there. Shouldn't really be much loose, we should be okay. But they weren't happy with the paint that was down. They wanted it changing to a thermoplastic, so that's what we're doing for today. So we've got the truck out, Harry's over there filming for us as well. Looking like these are ready to paint, to be honest, looking good. There's John at the side. Hopefully, I mean, I can feel the heat coming off of this thing. I can see it's all ready to run. Hey Lee, how are we looking? Looking good?
Just gone on.
Nice. So Lee's just going to prep the straight edges, and then we're heating up the jugs on here. So all we do is we literally put the jugs on. We're going to put the hand molds on that are on the back. They're going to sit on there as well. Heat all of that so we've got super hot every time we put it down. So we normally have a couple of jugs on at a time because these only do sort of a parking space really, and then you need to put them back on the heat and fill them up again. And then literally we're going to replace all the lines down here. Now these lines actually aren't so bad. To be fair, I think they look all right. But the customers asked us to run over it again in a thermoplastic, so that's what we're going to do for them. Now whether or not it's quicker doing it with MMA, thermoplastic, acrylic, I would say the acrylic's the fastest because it's quick to get down, very, very quick. When you're doing thermoplastic, although it's quick to dry, there's a lot of back and forward to the truck because you've got to constantly pick up more thermoplastic, put it back in the jugs, plus the hand molds get cold, so you've got to keep reheating those. Same with the little jugs and the prams. Although they're good, this surface is really rough. So if I show you a close-up, the problem we get here is all the little loose stones and chippings, all the little bumps. All of this interferes with the shoe on the pram. Any stones you get, they block it up straight away. And it ends up making a real mess of the floor. So we decided to go with the hand molds on this one because we just felt it would be that little bit easier. Let's see John the pro at work. I mean, it's better than mine. This is my one just here. Ready? So this is my attempt today. I don't know. I think probably did okay on it. That's the sort of finish we're getting with thermoplastic. Now, I would say spray is so much tidier than this, but again, as I was saying about customer expectation, this is the product the customer sort of expects to see. Let's look at John's. His work is way better than mine. I mean, there he goes and drops the hand mold on camera, but otherwise, I would say that John's background, he was a skip driver. Never done line marking before in his life. In fact, Lee, standing next to him, was a chef for 25 years, having never done line marking either. And I think they're doing great. How are we feeling about the thermo now? Getting there. I'm liking it. It's slow, I think, to start with, compared to spray, because spray's so quick. Straight in the face. Johnny, you are hand mold pro now.
Yeah, I like that.
Fucking hell, mate, that's brilliant. Check this out. Hey, it is Wednesday, and today we're in Cambridge doing some MMA line marking. Now, MMA, very much like a thermoplastic, it gets poured into a hand mold from a jug. The difference, of course, is that this one is cold applied as opposed to a hot applied. So, what we've got here, these are the MMAs that we're using. Now, these ones here are manufactured by Velivine, and these are a 16 kilo. We also have a couple of the 8 kilo ones we're going to be using. Now, what's important to remember with these is you have to mix in a catalyst. In this case, we're using Velivine's catalyst. This is a BPO 30%, 115 grams. So one of these per 8 kilo tin, and 2 of these for a 16 kilo tin. Now, all we need to do with this is literally mix it up using a little whisk, and sort of drop it in the top, if you like, with just sort of drill on the end, mix this thing up, pour it into a jug, then use the jug, pour it into your hand mold, drag it across the ground. Nice and easy. Anyway, let's head to Cambridge.
So here you can see what we're doing is we're actually tipping it in out of a jug straight into the hand mold. Now it doesn't quite work as nice as thermoplastic. You'll see it's quite loose and liquidy, really fluid. But this only lasts a few minutes because once it's once you first mix it up, it's really sort of quite watery. But then once you've left the tin, say 5 minutes or so, it starts to go a sort of gloopy-ish. You'll see it's coming out the bucket here. It goes a little bit lumpier and gloopier. This is actually what we want, but you've got a really finite window of maybe 10 minutes maximum that you could use this for. After that, it's pretty much gone solid. So it's yeah, either use it or lose it.
We've been filming this weekly vlog series now for almost a month. I think it's great. Anyway, I'm here at JKS in Corby, got to pick up some of the machinery and equipment that we are having repaired. And the guys are up in Nottingham today. Now we're at a bakery place, and I've heard it's going okay. The biggest issue we've had though is the customer is doing the traffic management on this project, not us. And they essentially aren't managing the traffic. So we're putting the lines down, and within 2 or 3 minutes, doesn't matter if we've got cones up, signs up, whatever, they're literally moving them out of the way, driving the forklifts over, driving the lorries over, and then they're coming back to us and saying, hey, Alex, we got tire marks in our lines. What's going on? And I'm like, dude, like we've told you, you have to wait till it's cured. Your guys are literally moving cones.
what are we supposed to do? Anyway, the job as itself looks pretty good. Let's have a quick look. I'll show you what we're up to up there, and then I think we're ready to about wrap up the week.
So to end the week off, we're up in Nottingham, and we've got 3 guys on this one today. This is a workshop yard for a food manufacturing site, and as you can see, they previously had thermoplastic installed, which not ideal for concrete. This one we're going to have to grind everything down, as you can see here, so we're going to prep the ground, and then we're putting on the single part epoxy over the top. Now we did talk about priming in week 2, and in fact we did a standalone video for it. So if you wanted to find out about the priming, whether or not we do it, don't do it, why we do it and don't do it, then always check that one out. In fact, I'll put a link within the video. The zebra crossings that you see just here, these are the ones that when we install them, we always have to roll them as well. And the finish we get, that's it. So much better. A couple of walking men to go in along the walkways, then we've got a little bit of hatching area, which you'll see just as we go over the zebra crossing over here. Here we go, is the hatching that we've just put down. Nicely spaced out. And look, that's pretty much the job. Nice, easy little install up in Nottingham.
Brush. We use this for cleaning down the areas before we line them. Yeah, that's what I
No worries, mate. All right, mate?
Yeah, thank you very much. So the work we had done to these, it was pretty minor to be fair, but this is a brand new housing, so it's a GX 160 engine, so we've got a generic housing with a pull cord just to be replaced on this one. And then it had a minor service, so we had the oil dropped, brand new spark plug fitted, as you can see just down here somewhere, wherever, looking down here. This one at the back, this is the sweeper that I mentioned a second ago. Now this one we use for clearing out anything on the lines before we line mark it in, and this just had a full service as well, so it's ready to go, brand new belts. See you guys later. All right, pretty much done.
Hey guys, well this is the end of week 3 and it's turned a little bit grey to be honest. So I'm back at the yard, we're at the truck, getting it a little bit cleaned down, ready for next week. Next week we've got, in week 4, we are going to, in fact we've got an ISO audit on Monday or Tuesday, whichever day that one is. Let me pop the camera down there. So we've got an ISO audit for the ISO 9001 that we're currently doing. Then we've also got an installation down in Redditch, or so I should say over in Redditch, because we're, yeah, just sort of west of Redditch. And then we've got some petrol stations to do. We're going down to Bristol. We've got a little bit more thermoplastic to do, a lot more spraying to do. The petrol stations are one that I kind of love and hate at the same time, because drying on them is always a pain in the arse. Now, you could use a turbine dryer, but yeah, it's hit and miss. Not as in whether or not it catch fire. Hopefully not. Anyway, look, that's pretty much the end of, try and get down without busting up my other Achilles. Don't want to do the other one. That's pretty much the end of this week, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it anyway. Look, I'm enjoying making the weekly vlog series for you guys. It's great fun. I look forward to doing the next week's ones, continuing on. As always, if you guys have any questions, anything else you'd like me to answer, what I figured I might do is actually reserve a day a week where I can answer any of the questions we get through from YouTube and LinkedIn, or any of the questions we get. So next week what I'm going to do is, I've had a question on how we get our parking spaces square. I also just got a question through on how we identify different surfaces. So whether we're looking at concrete, block paving, tarmac, asphalt, whatever you might want to call things, blacktop, how we identify the different surfaces, and of course which products we recommend for each surface as well. So I'll add that into week 4 and try and give you guys, let me pop the camera just over here, try and give you guys a bit of a intro into the different surfaces, what we would apply to each surface, how to identify it. I'm sure we can come up with like a handy tool for it as well. So I'm going to have a think about that over the weekend, come up with something for week 4, and at the end of the week I'll put together a nice little how-to guide and try and answer any of the questions. But as I was saying, if you do have any other questions that you come up with, anything you're interested in finding out or knowing or learning about line marking, by all means drop me a message. You can reach me either through the YouTube channel, you can email me directly at alex@line-mark.com, which I'll pop up now.
Or alternatively, you can get me on LinkedIn, which I will link just over here, so you can see my LinkedIn handle. I think that I should have done that for the YouTube one. Here's the YouTube one as well, so you can catch me on there, but obviously you're watching on YouTube, don't need that. Anyway, look, that's pretty much it for this one. Last thing before we end the week session, or whatever you might want to call it, we have just been putting together a training academy style. Now, arguably, this isn't actually put together for other people. We've been doing it for internal training. So when we go out and do our sort of thermoplastic, as you guys know, we're fairly new to it. We decided that the best way to do it was to document everything we do, put it together in like a training package so that we can train our guys. Then we take them out on site and they install it. So it's kind of a sort of cradle to grave of how we do everything. Now, we've put this together for our internal team because when we take people on, we need to set a good high standard for what we do, and we want to make sure everyone delivers it exactly the same way so we can maintain a consistent quality. Now, the hands-on side of how we install, that's one part, but actually the bigger part of this is all the behind the scenes in terms of how we see the quotes, what the quotes look like, how we do the follow-ups, how we actually get proper responses, how we deliver this to people, how we get away charging a lot more money than many other companies do. And I would say we're about 50% more than most people I know that deliver line markings. And the way we get away charging 50% more, you can actually find out. So if you're interested, you can head over to linemarking.expert. Within that, I'm going to give you a copy of the download I was mentioning in week 2, actually. So we've got a spreadsheet you can get a hold of free of charge, and it just tells you how to price basically each of your projects, shows you how much you're going to make, how much you can charge. It goes through the costs as well, like what it costs you to actually deliver each item as well. So if you're interested in getting a copy of the free spreadsheet, you can get that at line-mark.com, and then you can go across to the training, or alternatively, you can go straight to the training page, which is just linemarking.expert. Hopefully it'll provide a lot of help for you guys. Anyway, look, I'm gonna head off because it's the end of the week, it's starting to rain, and quite honestly, I've still got editing to do and whatever else we've got to get done. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. I look forward to seeing you next week for week 4. See you then. Bye.